Hello and welcome. I'm Kim Chafe with Lotus Within Yoga as well as Mutt Cuts Pet Grooming, and this is video 3 of my Yoga for Groomers series. So this time we're going to change things up a little bit and I'm going to introduce you to a practice called Yin. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. Just a quick little rundown. Yin is a set of usually floor postures. Sometimes they are standing, but this one's just going to be all on the floor. Typically, Yin postures are held from anywhere to 3 to 5 minutes. And this practice really encourages the muscular and connective tissues of the body to release. It's also really super beneficial if you're trying to increase your range of motion, flexibility. I also find that it's really nice and calming, and I really hope that you see the difference afterwards when you just get that yoga high of you just feel good. Yin has become such an important part of my practice and my physical rehabilitation. The nice thing about Yin is you can, during this practice, you can pop on your Netflix, watch that, or you can grab a book and read it, or my favorite thing to do is put on some classical music and just surrender. It's really nice for us to ease the mind, quiet it down, and just be still and calm. So I hope you enjoy this Yin practice. This series that I've done for you guys today is really going to hopefully open up your shoulders and your chest and your arms. Let's get started. So with Yin, since we're holding our postures for 3 to 5 minutes, the most important thing is that you're really listening to your body. Now, I find that props are a huge help in my Yin practice, whether that's a blanket or if you have a bolsters are lovely. They're pretty expensive though, so if you want to see if you like the practice first, you can always use a blanket and roll it up and tuck that wherever needed. I'll always let you know where you can use a prop in your class to help your practice. Okay, so right now we're going to start out in a comfortable child's pose. So that means let's come to our mat. You're going to take the hips over top of the knees, and you're going to take the knees out wide. I have a blanket underneath my knees. I find that it just helps with the comfort level of my knees. Maybe you don't need one, that's totally fine. Maybe you find halfway through that you would wish that you had that blanket, so go ahead, pop out and go grab one. Not an issue. So with your knees wide apart and your toes coming together at the back of your mat, try and sit back down onto your heels. And you're going to start to walk the hands forward, bringing our chest down to the ground. I'm just going to start my timer here because that's a great way to keep me honest through all of this. So as we walk our arms forward, maybe this is good right here. Or if it's at all possible, start to lead the heart down through to the floor. Maybe your head comes to the floor, maybe it doesn't. You can always use one of those props again. Place your head on a block, bolster, whatever works for you. And you're just going to try and find some stillness here in this pose. You shouldn't be feeling any pain. Discomfort, yes. Discomfort in Yin there's a difference between pain and discomfort. If you're feeling pinching or shooting pains or anything like that, come up. It's not a problem. Excellent. When you're ready, you can start to pull yourself back up on all fours. With your hips stacked over top of your knees, and your knees are about hip widths apart, whatever's kind of comfortable for you. You're going to start to walk the hands forward, staying upright on your knees, leading the heart down. Eventually, maybe laying your forehead on the mat. Just really feeling the stretch in through the shoulders. Again, if your knees are a little bit sore from kneeling on your mat, you can always pop a blanket under there. I like the extra padding. Just surrendering and breathing into our pose, connecting with our breath, finding stillness. You might find yourself becoming a little achy, maybe really urging to want to move the body, but try to listen to your body as well as surrender to the stillness, allowing this nice positive pressure on the joints and the ligaments and connective tissues to really open up. Sending your big, deep inhalations and exhalations to wherever you might feel this pose in the body. Just sending your energy there. When you're ready, you can start to walk the hands back in underneath your shoulder blades. We're going to come on down to our bellies into what's called Sphinx pose. So I'm going to lie my body gently down. You're going to prop your elbows underneath your shoulder blades, underneath your shoulders, and start to raise your chest and your head up to look forward. Now, I know this pose, for me personally, I hated it. I absolutely hated it at the beginning. My shoulders would ache, my back would ache, but now I love it. I absolutely love it. If you're finding that this is too much, might be a good place where you use that rolled up towel or blanket. You can bring it up to your chest, wrap your arms around, and just come to lay your chest down on your bolster, just like this. This pose is wonderful because it really accentuates the curve in our lower back. A lot of time our posture isn't always necessarily the greatest. We tend to slouch over and slump our neck down to look at our phones. And this is a great way to just encourage that natural curve to the spine. Should be no pinching or tingling or numbness in our lower backs. If you're finding that your shoulders are getting sore, you can always take your arms out wider, come down a little lower. Just really trying to keep those shoulder blades rolled back down our body. Maybe you have a yoga block or anything like that. You can place it underneath your head and rest your forehead on the block. Whatever helps you find stillness. And always remembering to breathe. This also is a nice opening for the front line of the body. Opening up through your abdominals, your hip flexors, and through your heart. Excellent. You can start to walk the elbows out to the sides, slowly bringing ourselves down. Just taking a moment to breathe. This pose can get a little intense as soon as you come out, but just give it a minute. Keep breathing. You're going to take your right arm out to the side, straight out next to you, like so. You're going to place your right ear on the mat. Your left palm will come underneath your shoulder. You're going to start to roll your body over, opening up through the front of the shoulder. Just coming as far as you can. Meeting your body where it is today, not pushing anything. We are going to be here for a few minutes. So you want to be comfortable, yet uncomfortable, but never in pain. You can keep your hand propped up underneath you, your left hand propped underneath your shoulder. Or if you have the mobility, you can bring that arm up and place the back of your hand on your lower back. If you're still looking for more, you can take that top leg and place it behind you. Again, just meeting your body wherever you are today at this moment. And breathing. You can always do this pose up against the wall. Placing this arm, your right arm, against the wall and just peeling your shoulder open. This is one of my routine favorites to really open up in my shoulders. If you have your bind, go Go ahead and bring the arm back up forward underneath the shoulder. Release the leg and roll back onto your belly, placing the hands under your forehead. Just taking a breath. Noticing the difference between the two shoulders. And when you're ready, take that left arm out to a T beside you. Placing the other palm underneath your shoulder and rolling open. You may notice that one side is different than the other. That's okay. We tend to be, I'm right-handed, so my right side usually is a little bit harder to find that extra mobility in. I'm gonna take my hand up, I'm gonna wrap it around my back and place my top leg behind me, flat on the floor, my foot flat on the floor. Again, just finding a place of comfortable discomfort, not pressing yourself too hard. Yin is always my go-to, and I find that I don't necessarily have the energy to put into a longer standing practice, but yet I still need all the benefits of yoga. So finding the time to practice your yin, you'll notice the difference of mobility in your body so quickly. It's so beneficial. And if you take anything away from these series, I hope it's a yin, a love for yin. When you're ready, you can, if your hand is behind you, you can start to place that underneath your shoulder, releasing the leg and rolling back onto your bellies. Taking a moment, just feel the pose. Excellent. When you're ready, you can roll on to your spine or your back. Don't need my blanket anymore, so I'm just gonna bring that to the side. Excellent. Finding a nice, comfortable position on your back, straightening out. You're gonna bring the feet, the soles of your feet together and allow the knees to drop wide open. Opening up through our inner thighs. If this is a little too intense for your hips and you need any sort of support, you can go ahead and take that blanket that you have or pillow, whatever, and you can just prop it underneath your knee, giving yourself a little bit of extra support if needed. Hands can stay on your hips, come out beside you, or if you're looking for a little bit extra of your shoulder stretch, I like to interlace my fingers and drop my hands above my head, allowing my shoulders to open up, elbows going to either side of the room. and breathing. Take one more breath here. When you're ready, take your hands to the outside of your knees, guide them back in, up, facing the ceiling. Straighten out through your spine. You're gonna pick your hips up, bring them over to the left, and drop your knees over to the right, coming into a spinal twist. My knees and my legs are stacked upon each other. And I personally like to bring my arms out to a T and start to gaze over my shoulder. Trying to stay grounded in both of your shoulders. Again, if this is too much, finding a prop and just placing it underneath your knees. Just lessening the intensity of your twist. Sending your breath down your spine. Feeling this maybe in your hips and your glutes. Being mindful of keeping your shoulders pressed into the floor, into your mat. Take one more big breath here. And then one knee at a time. Start to bring yourself back up through center. Just taking a breath here in neutral. When you're ready, you can pick your hips up, bring them over to the right side of your mat, dropping your knees over to the left. Maybe taking your gaze over the opposite shoulder. Maybe placing a prop underneath your knees over here, just lessening the intensity of the stretch. Listening to our bodies. Encouraging both shoulder blades to be rooted and grounded into the mat. Allowing the mind to still. Take one more big breath here. And when you're ready, one knee at a time, bringing yourself back up through center, straightening back out through the spine. Now we're going to do the most important pose of our practice, Shavasana. It is my favorite, yet one of the hardest ones some days to do. You're gonna release your legs flat out on the mat. You can take them nice and wide, just as wide as your mat. Taking your arms out to the side, rolling your shoulder blades back and down your spine. Closing the eyes. Taking deep inhales. Long, slow exhales. As you release into your mat, surrender and be still. Your to-do list will be there at the end. Just try and let everything go. And I'll bring you back out in just a moment. Soften through your jaw, softening through your eyes, relaxing your forehead, your throat, melting into your mat. Take another big deep breath in here and through the nose. Exhale, side out. Start to waken the body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe rolling out through the wrists and the ankles. Sending the legs down the mat, arms above to a good morning stretch. And hug your knees in, give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze. Roll onto one side of your body. Just take a moment. When you're ready, you can push yourself back up through seated. Thank you so much for joining me for this yin class. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Hopefully your body is feeling nice and calm and centered. Thank you again, and I hope to see you on the remainder of my Yoga for Groomers series. Namaste.